Hey guys, it's Bowser here with Penny Stock Data Science, coming back for another video. Today we're going to be talking about WNFT Worldwide NFT Incorporated. It was a George Sharp custodianship, although the custodianship ended, so now he's just the CEO of the company. And it's been a popular ticker, just like the other custodianships that he's done, including GVSI, and you can check here the SRNW. Okay, so I mean, the big thing on this one was really over the summer where we had the update come out where the stock plummeted because Sharp pretty much announced that they weren't going to be doing any acquisition or merger or whatever was going on until they had come to some kind of settlement agreement with Warwick Calasse, who used to be the CEO of the company back when it was GOFF. So if we take a look, I have I believe I have the 8K from over the summer where he said this. Where I think this is the one that really caused the negative price action. I might need to double check that, but I mean, either way, it doesn't matter that much. Though, the point is that they need to settle this thing with Warwick Calasse. So that, yeah, here we are. We're waiting conclusion of the court proceedings. Calasse and is unlikely the company can enter into any acquisition or reverse merger agreement during the course of this litigation. So, okay, when news comes out, you know, at the time the market was the market for OTCs overall was not good. So bad news is worse, and then good news isn't good. So, pretty negative price action off that. I think WNFT right now trades at around, what is it, like 6 cents. That's pretty far down from the highs, of the ticker, uh, you know, back when there was a lot more volume in OTC overall. But it's down quite a bit, mostly because of this Warwick Calasse. Uh, and the thing is that, yeah, he does have shares, and we can go take a look at that. But in the end, this issue right here, it's going to be resolved. Either the courts are going to say that he can keep his shares or he cannot keep his shares. And in the end, the problem isn't necessarily that, oh, there's going to be shares. It's that no company is going to do any kind of acquisition agreement or reverse merger if it's unclear how many shares there are in the company. If you have shares looming out there, or you can't create a real valuation of the company if you don't actually know how many shares there are. So let's actually go take a look at how many shares this guy actually has. So if we go look at the form for this guy, this is back file 2013. He has 5 million of the Series A preferred shares, and they convert 1 to 30, so 150 million shares on a fully converted basis. And I believe they convert without any restriction. So, they'd be converted immediately to unrestricted shares, not restricted shares like we talked about in a previous, video where you need to get an opinion letter to, remove the legend and all that stuff. But here's the thing. So, it might be better if we go through the history of this ticker just a little bit, just so everyone gets a good understanding of, what actually this outcome could look like. So if we go back here, you can look at the history of the filings through OTC Markets. You can go through Edgar. I have that over here, the Edgar full text search. And here I was just taking a look for Calasse because I just wanted to see where his name was popping up. And you can see him all over, GOFF, WNFT. But you go down, and there really haven't been that many filings for this ticker. We have the initial S1 in 2011. That isn't that long ago. Some stuff here, some 10Ks, blah blah blah. And I think I have it pulled up here, but in one of these filings from 2013, the original CEO steps down. Yeah, it might have been this. Yeah, this is 8K 2013. We get resignations from these people, and okay, we have Warwick becomes this president, CEO, blah blah blah. So that's when he acquires shares. He acquires some shares from some previous director, blah blah blah, And that's where we end up seeing these shares pop up, because this pops up later. We have February 26th is the 8K. Then we have March 8th is where we have the Form 4. So, these are all preferred shares. But it is a lot of shares. 150 million shares. You look here, WNFT. There's only 531 million, and I mean, there's been some splits and stuff, so I don't know the exact number. It could be, I think there's been some forward splits, so it should be. I thought it was a forward split. I could be wrong. He's doing forward splits on some of the other tickers. I mean, either way, um, the point is that there are shares to convert here into unrestricted shares. And right now, there's all the court proceedings, and it's getting dragged out and dragged out. You can look at the WNFT Twitter feed, and you can see all this, blah, 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 blah. Oh, we don't know. In the end, it doesn't matter. Either he's going to have shares or he's not going to have shares. But if we look into some of these tweets, we can see that it's here somewhere that, he has this tweet here about how, maybe it's not this one. He has some tweet here about how the, GOFF was essentially considered a fraud by the SEC, that there's fraudulent activity, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And, you can look into the filings a little more. You can figure out why, especially if you look here a little bit. We see that 2016, the company filed to have a 1512G and probably switch over to the alternative filing system, although we don't see any alternative filing systems here. But basically, Warwick, he came in CEO, and then they just went dark, like 2 months later. The only thing we see here is this 1512G. So like Warwick didn't really do anything, at least what you can see from the filings, But you see the 1512G, and I have it pulled up here, and this is filed by none other than, no, that's not it. Maybe, where is it? Yeah, here we go, Form 15. Adam Tracy. And now if we go and we look at, the prohibited service providers from OTC markets, and you scroll down, Adam Tracy right here. So he's prohibited from doing anything with OTC markets. And there's the date that it was added, March, 17th, prohibited date. And there's a little link here for an SEC press release. And you go here, and there's a whole thing about, they're, giving him sanctions, whatever, because he basically did some fraudulent stuff, is what it says. This is not my opinion. This is what the SEC filing says. Where does it say here? Something about his series licenses, blah, blah, blah. Where is it? Yeah, you can read it, but it pretty much just says that that he aided and abetting the filings of Form S1, S1. And basically saying that he did S1s that omitted stuff and misrepresented stuff, blah blah blah. It's not good. That's the point. So this whole ticker, back from like 2013, 2016, doesn't have a good history. So this gets back to my point that I was saying earlier. They're in this battle, George Sharp and WNFT against Calasse for these shares that they want to get rid of. They want to get rid of these shares. But you know what? It doesn't matter that much. Even if they WNFT loses and Calasse gets to keep the shares and he converts them, okay, like what's he gonna do with them? They're held at the transfer agent, even if they're unrestricted. Like if you look at the history of this, I don't think there's going to be very many brokerages that are going to want to take the deposit, even if the courts say, oh, like the shares are legally his. Like you have to find a broker to take your shares from the transfer agent, deposit it. Otherwise, they're just untradeable. So I don't think that there's going to be very many places that are going to want to take that, because if you look at all the history of this, there's just so much stuff. Like if you're a broker, like why would you want to get involved with that? So I just don't think that it's going to be easy, even if he gets to keep the shares. And my personal opinion is that he doesn't get to keep them. You look at all this stuff, like that. This just doesn't seem like it's going to happen for Calasse. It was successfully taken as custodianship by George Sharp. Then, he cleaned it up. He got the Form 10 accepted by the SEC. He got a name change. He got a forward split. Pretty sure it's a forward split. A reverse wouldn't make sense, but let's see. Yeah, 3-1 forward split. You know, like he did the hard part. Now the rest of it is just okay. Like getting some shares canceled. That there's probably not a lot of evidence that would say that the guy should keep them to begin with, because he became the CEO, and then they just went dark after that. Outlook is probably good for this. A lot of the stuff, and a lot of stuff's out of the control of the company. Like worldwide NFT, crypto's not in the best state overall right now, but like that's nothing the company can control. Um, you know, but overall things are, they're looking good for the future. Um, you know, Share structure should be good, even if these shares from Calasse, end up being valid. I'm not sure how the forward split um, would impact the preferred shares. I would, that's not the kind of that's really not a question that most people ask every day, and it's not really, we don't really see too many forward splits on OTC tickers. So it's not something you really ask about very often. That I think it would make sense for George Sharp to actually uplist this to QB. You know, typically, I mean, I don't really see why, but a lot of brokers and things like that, they put the QB tickers and all these other upgradable tiers on OTC markets. They really like those compared to like Pink. You know, when it comes to all these different tiers, like they like that, so it makes sense. And the other thing is that if you read through the OTC markets website, they have stuff on there about how upgrading to QB, they'll help you get your quotes solicited again. Because if you look here, even though this is an SEC filer, it's eligible for unsolicited quotes only. So maybe they have submitted the 211 and it's just waiting and it's being reviewed and hasn't been accepted yet. I don't know. It's not something I've seen anything about. But if they did you know uplist this to QB, OTC markets, I'm not sure exactly what they do, but they take care of the quota eligibility. In this PQE status, you would see that change. So that's something to keep in mind. I think it would make sense, but I am not the CEO of the company, so I don't know if that'll actually happen. And the last thing to keep in mind is just that when this is just for OTC overall. A lot of things really, even when you see tickers and share structure that is not the best, too many shares. What really matters is just who owns it. We've seen this time and time again where we have tickers that are really bloated and they make these incredible runs. And we've seen this time and time again where tickers that have bloated share structure just make these incredible runs, because it really just has to do with whoever owns the shares. You know, if there's a certain number of shareholders that just own enough where 50 or 75% of the float is locked up, then yeah, it's going to trade a lot thinner. It's going to go a lot higher. And we've seen this. We even saw this on HMBL, TSNP. I mean, I remember I owned this TSNP at 0002 because I just had it on a list of tickers that I liked, based on share structure and filings and things like that. And I sold that very early on. I mean, no, at least I didn't think it was going to end up going to whatever it did, like $1 or higher. You know, but that's a good example. Just anything can happen when something trades thin enough, whether it is thin or whether you know people just own enough shares that it trades thin. So yeah, so that's my video on WNFT. I think that once this Calasse stuff gets cleared up, the things will look better for this. And the hope is that George Sharp has some good mergers or acquisitions to bring into the shell. And get the price up. But we will see. And just make sure you hit that subscribe button. and we'll see you on the next video.